We are on. Hey, we want to welcome everybody here to Triple F, to our Takeaway Thursday. We are excited to share with you this segment of family. We had an incredible interview with R.K. Costello all the way from Paraguay last Thursday, and he gave us some insights on how to better our family. And that's what we do here at Triple F, right? Is faith, family, and finance. And we give you mechanisms on how to, better equip you if you desire to grow in your faith, if you desire to grow in your family, in greater intimacy with your children, your wife, things of that nature. And then also finances, the same thing, right? And so we don't claim to be expert. We just wanted to get open ideas and mindsets to a new concept, or just having to look at it from different angles. So we're excited to follow up with the Takeaway Thursday here about family. So we're going to jump right into it. If you can follow us with the slides, we got questions that you'll be able to interact with our team. We got Virgil and Sherry in the background doing all the heavy lifting for all of us. And so we're excited. If you have any questions, make sure that you share them to the chat box. We'll try to answer them one at a time. And then also, if you want to share this live, go ahead and share it live to your friends, family. And then also, if you're watching a replay, if you want to share it with others, feel free. You can also add people to our page. We do a giveaway a lot of times here with our Triple F movement. So let's jump into it. I know time is a commodity we can't get back. We can make more money, but we can't buy back time. And so let's jump into it. Hey, look, one of the most incredible things about that I took away last week was our Pastor RK talked about family is the future, right? And, I've heard it being framed that way before. I just never kind of understood it in the way that, in the context of the way he put it, right? And in families, family is one of the most important things to God in this planet. And, so he went on to break it down and walk us through the process. The family is the future, right? And if we have no family, we have no future. So just think about that. I know that there are many people who have broken through without family and have a great future. But if you look at the stability, the foundation of everything starts with family. And he talked about, if you have a dysfunctional family, it leads to a dysfunctional neighborhood. Dysfunctional neighborhood leads to dysfunctional cities. Dysfunctional cities leads to dysfunctional nation. But it starts at the home front first, right? So what we do at home really, really matters. I just thought that was so profound, especially living in America today as a Tongan descent. Everyone come to America looking for a better life and a better future. And so we get so busy in the doing that we really somewhat get pulled from many different angles. as parents that we don't have the time to spend raising up our children for the future. We just basically throw them into schools and things of that nature and hope that they make it through. But this, it gives us a different perspective, different lenses, something to look at. If it doesn't fit or serve how you like it to see, look, man, don't charge it to my heart, charge it to my head. We're just having a dialogue in the conversation and giving you something to look at life from a different perspective. If you want to impact the world, it starts from our home. Like, we want to impact our home first before we can change the world. It was so amazing. I was at awe listening to Pastor RK last week. We don't focus on the fruit, right? Most people in this society live a highlight life, like a highlight, meaning a highlight is like a highlight reel, right? Like when a sports or basketball or football, you put together highlight, you only put together the good plays you made. No one ever put a bad play, like a bad film together and send it out to a college or a pro team or things of that nature. So we live in a society today that's full of highlights, right? But the ultimate things that we have to look at is the work that people put in to showcase those highlights. I remember having a conversation just like yesterday with my youngest son. He's 14 years old, and I utilized the illustration of 𝗬𝗵 Bolt, right? The world record 100-meter sprinter from Jamaica. And, when we watch 𝗬𝗵 Bolt runs, we only see 9 seconds of the 100-meter race, of his performance, right? And we see the thrill of victory. It inspire us so that we want to be like Mr. Bolt and in that nature. But what we don't see is the 4 years of preparation, of failure, pain, challenges, and correcting the mistakes every day, readjusting, right? And finding different mechanisms of training to get ahead just for that 9 seconds to make a difference in the world. I mean, it's truly, truly amazing. And so don't forget to focus on, if you want different fruit, that we must focus on changing the root so that we can inspire to have a different fruit. And if we want to see transformation in our city, transformation in the future, it starts at the root level at home, right in our humble home. And I believe that story serves so well of 𝗬𝗵 Bolt. You may say, well, he's from Jamaica, a country that may be considered third worldish. I'm not quite sure. Please correct me in that. But 𝗬𝗵 didn't let where he came from to dictate the fruit and the results of the work that he put in. Is truly amazing. So God's original plan is to bring transformation to this planet through family. And, that's I think that's what Pastor RK talked about, the story of Adam. And when he created Adam, he felt like he wasn't complete as a man by himself, and so he created Eve to go together, right? So that they can be together and be fruitful and multiply was the first thing, first commandment that he commanded us to do, was to be fruitful, and multiply. You can go to the next slide. So through marriage, Pastor RK talked about as a family, God, this was powerful because, no one, growing up as Tonga, this was like taboo to talk about this kind of stuff. But this is as real as it can get, right? God's the author of sex. God was the one who created husband and wife to want to have sex with one another so that they could be fruitful in that way. We just, as human, misuse the concept in a different way, right? A healthy marriage starts with, listen to this, a healthy marriage starts off with a healthy sex life. It's rooted and grounded in God. and was one who put it inside of them to make them want to do it. It wasn't created by the devil. It wasn't created for evil. It was one who put the hormones in us to want to do it. So just something to think about, right? Like no one has ever really framed, like, I know, growing up in a Polynesian home, in a Tongan household, no one has ever educated me about that from a faith perspective, right? So from a faith perspective, so just something to look at, and look at it from different angles and things of that nature, so you can have a greater perspective of awareness and how to relate to others as well, and also how to treat a woman, and as a woman, know how to treat a man in the process. Next slide. Yes, definitely. It's the one that created the parts to work so that we can make babies, realize that family starts with the man and the woman coming together and having a relationship with one another. I know, this is so funny. The foundation of how God wants to bring transformation to this planet through relationship between a husband and a wife, right? And so, we can look at our society today. I'm not saying that I sit here and say that I'm perfect. I have a perfect marriage, far from it. But I can tell you, we all fell forward in this process. But if there was someone to teach us, right, the proper way, people could actually transform their life and be able to honor one another in a greater perspective in growing a family. You can go to the next slide. The husband and wife certainly are different from one another. If your needs are being met by your spouse, then you're not going to try to get your needs from someone else. Then you'll try to go get your needs from somebody else. It's so true, in so many ways, and just that the way we are as creatures of habits. But if we don't learn to understand, you can go to the next slide. If we don't learn to understand and how to honor one another in certain gifts, we can't really strive towards the optimal level of relationship we desire to have. And, I realize being married for over 20 years is a constant work. It hasn't been perfect, but it's a constant work. And if we don't put the work into the relationship, that's where I believe many challenges come into play. Like Pastor R.K. highlighted some of the needs of a woman, right? And I remember when I first got married, I only did what I saw my father did, and how he honored my mom by just being a provider. So I thought, in my head and in my heart, that this is what I'm supposed to do as a husband, is to provide, and then everything else falls on my wife's shoulder. And that is so far from the truth of a relationship, right? Like, a woman needs affection and love. They need financial support. They need to be secure. They need intimate conversation, right? And that you got to make time for all of that, even through work and everything else. As a husband, we got to create this space for our significant others. It's something I had no clue, or I wouldn't say have no clue. I just wasn't aware as I am today. And awareness is not enough. Obviously, it's application, because like knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is way much more powerful than just knowledge alone, right? Honesty, openness, financial support, and family connection. But a husband needs are different, right? Sexual fulfillment, recreational companionship, attractive spouse, domestic support, and admiration. And for us as men, all we need is just a small little praise and a tap on our shoulder and a big hug, and to feel like that we are loved, and we can go out there and do our thing to provide for the family in that way. But these are things that we don't take time. We get so busy in the doing in life, right? You go to the next slide. We get so busy with life that we don't understand that there's a role that we playing, especially for the future, right? Because the way we're operating, our kids are watching us. They're going to do to their girlfriends and their wife what we're doing to our spouse, and that's something I really didn't understand until today. I have kids. So if you want to have a healthy marriage, the husband role is to love your wife the same way that Jesus loved the church. Guys, I have never heard it being put this way, right? And I've heard people preach about treating the church as Jesus' bride, right? That's his bride. That was his wife, right? I've heard that, but I've never heard it this way. That Pastor R.K. was so practical, but yet meaningful and profound at the same time. So there's times in your marriage where you literally gonna have to die to yourself so that your wife can have life, and husbands die to bring the right. Husband needs to die to be right, and to die to win an argument. And man, that was a huge takeaway, right? Because he talked about him when he used to argue with his wife, and then he realized his role was to love and protect this woman that he made vows to, right? And but here he was fighting to be right, to be righteous, right? And man, I'm so guilty of that. In so many ways, right? And Pastor R.K. talked about, it's like, man, I realized at that time that my job right now is to die, and to die is not to like die, like die, like death, die, but it's to die to our needs to be right, right? Die to our needs to be righteous, or to win the argument, or whatever it may be. It's it's having to a surrendering heart allows the intimacy to grow greater at a greater capacity, right? And he went on to talk about there's no 50-50, right? Like that's a common saying in our society today. Hey, this is a 50-50 marriage, right? Or things of that nature. But that's not how marriage, that's a man's way of framing marriage. And the way he put it was that, no, it's 100% to zero, like 100% on his part and a 0% on his wife's part. And vice versa. On his wife's end, it's 100% on her end and a 0% on his end. And if they can both give 100%, man, that's a thriving marriage, right? But just think about that context a little bit. Like, if you're only giving 50%, your spouse or your significant other, the person you say that you love, is only getting 50% of you in that case. And man, there's so many times I would say that my wife probably only got 10% of me through the process. So this was huge, like really huge. And just for me as a man, as I am speaking to everyone, I am like totally ministering to myself in so many ways, right? So from a husband point of view, we must do whatever we need to make sure that marriage works 100% to zero on her. And if the wife sees it the same way, she will do the same thing, right? And people, like, the world we operate in today governs our mindset so many ways that they're like, we operate from a place where if you do this for me, then I will do this for you, right? And so we try to connive our way to get what we want or meet our certain needs. I have definitely been guilty of that many times. But that's the beauty of life, is that we get to repent and seek forgiveness and then go again, right? Striving to be better in the process. So great takeaway from Pastor RK. We'll go to the next slide. The seventh principle, he talks about the book of John Goodman, the seventh principle, Making Marriage Work, that you get to understand the love language. So make sure you get the book. Order on Amazon. I don't get any money for advertising, but wherever you got to get it from, I would encourage you, get the book, right? Take it on, do the work. Look, have fun with your spouse and challenge each other to grow to a greater capacity. Look, nobody is going to come and fix your family for you. If it has to be done right, it's got to be done by you. Take on the work. It's so worth the results, right? If we want different fruit, we got to change the root. And by us changing, we change the future, right? Which is our children. The way they operate and the way they function is truly going to be dynamic. And that's our legacy, if you think about it in that way. Next slide. Oh, here are some practical things to do that he talked about. This was so profound. He say, turn towards each other instead of away. And this is doing things together, showing each other, the other person, that they are valued. In this, taking time to listen and not telling them they don't have time. This is some of the principles from the book. Let your partner influence you. This is sharing decision-making by being willing to be willing to both make the decision and respect your partner's decision, right? In that way. Solving problems is realizing, man, this is so huge, because a lot of us, we get married, and I remember this. Here, I'll give you a perfect example, right? So because I grew up in a third world country, we didn't have American toilets, right? So when I first got married to my wife, I didn't know it was a big issue of the way she liked the toilet paper to roll down, right? And I just was so grateful to have a toilet paper, right, to utilize. So I just put it any way that it sticks to the thing. So every time I would put the toilet paper on that rolls up and out, my wife would let me know. Like, she would say, could you please flip the toilet paper to roll down? And, after a couple of times, I didn't really make a big deal out of it. And so I finally asked the question, and say, why is that a big deal? The toilet paper is still there. It's still going to be used. And it said, yes, but this is the proper way that it's supposed to be used. Guys, I'm telling you, we had an argument about toilet paper, right? And this is the same. I didn't have these tools, right? And I wanted to be right. And so because I wanted to be right, I'm sure, there was some distance apart in my relationship with my wife at early phase of our relationship that forced, that anger got the best of us, where we didn't talk for hours or maybe days. I mean, just from little small things just like this, right? Number 6, overcome gridlock, the figuring out on what's causing the block in life. And taking steps to overcome these blocks. It does not necessarily mean fixing the problem, but it's taking a step to overcome it. It's just practical ways to doing. You go to the next slide. And then number 7 is to create and share meaning, right? This is the creating life that shares and meaningful for both of you. Marriage isn't about just raising up kids, splitting the chores, or making love. It's also about having spiritual dimension that has to do with creating an inner life together, a culture rich with symbols and rituals, and appreciation for your roles and goals that links you to lead you to understand what it means to be part of the family that you have become. Yeah, that's just think about those things, right? Yes. So here's some practical ways that he talked about last week. Is you should kiss for average of 6 seconds every day, right? And he alluded to about, I mean, just simple as a kiss. Think about that, right? And I know for me in our culture, it's like taboo to kiss in front. I mean, it's not taboo, but we make it so taboo to kiss in front of your kids or things of that nature, right? Like it's just so we people are so shamed and shy when it comes to that. But it shows affection, you know. I mean, it definitely works. It says at least 6 seconds, right? So that means you get at least 6 kisses, guys. You should get at least 6 every day. Number 2, put deposit into the love bank of your spouse, whatever, you know, word of affirmation, quality time, physical touches, act of service, or receiving gifts. This is, you know, it's one thing to marry your wife, but every day, you know, in raising, if you want to change the root, right? If you want a different fruit, you got to change the root. It's not a lot of big things that you have to do for your spouse. It's about the little things, right? And we hear coaches all the time say that, hey, look, it's not the big. I don't want the big slam dunk. I'm so much more worried about you about the fundamentals. If you do the fundamentals right, we'll get the big things to happen. So good stuff, guys. Let's keep it going, Sherry. Yeah, constantly pursue one another to keep a high level of intimacy. That's a responsibility. We can go to the next slide. That's a responsibility that we must take on, right? There's a high rate of divorce in our society today, resulting many orphans, and it is because of us as men not taking personal responsibility for our marriage to be better. So, you know, this one is maybe hard for us as men to really take it in and chew on it, but this is the real facts. This is just the reality of our lives. And so if we become more aware of our responsibility on how we should show up, man, could you imagine if we apply it, not only gain the awareness, but also application of the awareness can really alter, can change, generate the next generation to have a better lifestyle. Remember, our family is our future, and everything we're doing in preparation is for their future. All right, next slide. How to nurture a relationship with your children. And so transitioning from marriage now into children is being intentional with your kids, right? Like, what do you envision? Like a lot, like I say, in the beginning phase, we get so caught up. I know for my dad, when we first came from Tonga, luckily he was so willing to not have my mom go to work, and my mom wanted to go find a job, but my dad opted to work 2 jobs and then hustle during the day, working odd yard work to provide for us. And the main thing that he did all of that in providing for us as a family was that he wanted my mom to stay home and raise us, to be intentional about our future and keep us accountable to what we were doing at school, right? And you know, at the time when you were a young man, you don't really understand. I didn't really understand what that meant. All I saw was my mom was like one of the meanest lady. Like she really disciplined us, right? Like all I saw was the effects of the punishment that I got when I did something wrong. And you know, now that I'm an adult and I'm thinking like, man, if I would have just obeyed and do the things that my parents told me to do, I would have never gotten to the punishment in the first place, you know? Anyways, when you're young and dumb, those things happen. So be intentional about in raising your kids. Show the kids what the love of God is, right? And you know, that means that we must as parents be healed, right? Like we got to understand what the love of the Father is. It's unconditional. I shared this with both of my boys. My boys are 17 and 14. And you know, I basically told them, is that there's really nothing you can do in life that will ever disappoint me, or to the point of you know, of anything. I mean, whether it's good or bad, even when it's bad, there's no degree of bad you could do. Yeah, would I be disappointed? Yes. Would I be hurt? Yes. Would I be frustrated? Yes. But I won't love you any less, right? So it's just being intentional. And you know, I know that my parents were that same way for me and my siblings. I know that just they may not have communicated the way that I'm understanding it today. And so yeah, it's so intentional today of having to show both of my boys a father's heart and a father's love, and just how God loves us unconditionally through all the stuff that I've gone through in life, and to still be here to share this is just a true testament of how He loves us unconditionally. All right, next slide. Hey guys, we're almost coming to an end here with 31. We're over 31 minutes, but I'm going to go really fast. I want to cover many things here to give you some insights on how to be with your kids. Here are small things that can change the culture, right? One of the things I've learned over time with my kids is that I used to think that I had to control them. And the more that I try to control my kids, the more that I've learned that I didn't have control in them, right? But the more I start to move away from punishment to discipline, right? And show love to my kids and hold them accountable to things, it's amazing how things change. And this particularly that I'm going to share with you, I got from RK from a seminar he did, a workshop that we did, that he did in ministry, and I applied it. My spiritual father walked me through it, and we've been doing it for the last 3 years. And I'm telling you, it wasn't easy the first time we did it. For the first couple of months, I mean, it was resistant from not only from my wife, my kids, but we did it as a family. I didn't know what it would look like, but I stepped into as my role as a father, and man, it was amazing. We first went and opened the door, trying to hold it together. I remember if it was yesterday, like if it was one of the most revelating days when I reflect back on it, because we went to open the door and we invited Jesus into our house. And, you know, we've always been a faith-based family, but we never invited Holy Spirit to come into our home. And so because we did that, you know, I partner with Holy Spirit in ministering, partner with my wife and starting to minister to our kids. And even through the process of being rebellious and, you know, the rolling of the eyes and, you know, just the smirk and could you hurry up? And, you know, I need to go play video game and, you know, I need to do this. And man, today, you know, to be able to shift and alter that, to see the fruit of our labor, of how my wife and I consistently showed up has been truly, it paid off. The price we pay definitely paid off. So just having a meal together is really, really huge. And so it made a significant difference. So make sure if you just do that, can we pull the slides back up? If you share the 5 meals with your kids, it will radically change the game for you, right? We're going to post the 5 and 5 cards, like 5 times talk, 5 times eat, 5 times pray. I have those cards, and I'm going to post them on here on our page. It's truly dynamic how it will alter the way you interact with your kids in that way. You can go to the next slide, Sherry. So this is some of the research. If you want to do the research yourself, make sure you get this information. We'll also have the video available on our website for you to come back and listen to on replay as well. But all the information that RK was able to share with us through the first show you probably listening. If you're listening to this replay and it's not making sense to you, it's because you missed the show. You might want to go listen to the show and then come back to this video. It would be awesome in that way. And yeah, we'll wrap it up from there. Over 35 minutes already. But guys, I can't stress to you enough how powerful the conversation was with Pastor RK and the information he put out in content for us to take away, just something to take a look at. That's my encouragement and prayer is for all of us. Look, I'm just a messenger, right? Just sharing. But you take what you need to take away from it, you know? If it's just one thing that you can take away that helps you change the way you do things with your family, just think about that change. That one pivot could change the game generationally, right? For your children's children's children. And that's all we want. I think as parents, we want our next generation to be better. So if we want different fruit, we got to be able to look at the root and see what we're feeding the root so that it can produce different fruit. Guys, we're so excited. Please share our page. We also have the winner has been chosen by our executive team here. Is 𝗬𝗵_HIH all the way from California. She shared the most. Thank you, 𝗬𝗵, for supporting us unconditionally. She shared the most of our show from last week with RK, and then also comment the most here. We're coming up next Thursday, which will be focusing on finances, and you don't want to miss that. I have a gentleman who has had over 200 transactions of real estate transaction and owns over 150 investment properties that allows him to live the lifestyle and do the things that he loves to do that we can learn from. Okay? So make sure you chime in next Thursday, 7 p.m. We'll have Mr. Tony Scotti here in 𝗵𝗵𝗃 to showcase to you. Take care. God bless and aloha. Sorry we couldn't go through all the slides, guys, but go through our website at DannyCouture.com. We will have the show there and all the notes for you to be able to go over and replay and even go through it with your wife or your significant other in the process. Take care. God bless and aloha.